Right on indeed. Welcome to Belonging Songs. Belonging Songs, the podcast that brings you a brand new original song with each episode, then talks about the theme of that song and the processes that went into writing and recording it. I'm your host, Wade Dana. With me in the studio today, my good friends, Patrick Crane.
Not for long.
Brad Maurer.
I'll be here.
And Chad Carlton.
Hello.
So this is a special edition of Belonging Songs. This is going to be a little different. This is something we are going to be doing this season and hopefully beyond. In between our full new songs that we write, Chad and I are going to be re-recording some of our original band songs from the first band I was in, really. And these are instrumental songs, so there's no theme really to talk about.
Lyrics sheet there.
There's no lyrics, so these are going to be quicker episodes, typically. And why do we want to do this? Well, first of all, so we can bring you more stuff to the listener, more songs. And these songs are 20 plus years old in some cases, and they've never been recorded, and they're in danger of being lost to time, you know, if I lose a hard drive or something.
Library of Congress, we're talking to you.
So the one we're going to listen to today and start recording on is probably the first full song I ever wrote on guitar. Chad and I were in a band in high school where we would play parts of songs for like 10 minutes and call those songs, but those weren't really songs. And a lot of those parts did end up making them into other songs when we like became a legitimate band. And that happened when basically Chad and I just started kind of getting together in my mom's basement and creating real songs. Because before then we were in high school, like I said, we'd get together on
We'd
parties,
show up wherever we could and set up and play.
But it was like, they weren't really songs. I mean,
it took like 5 parties to even maybe put together one song.
Right. Yeah, and we were in this instrumental band called I'm In Ya for 10 plus 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
And wrote a bunch of songs, and none of them have ever been properly recorded. So I'm really excited to get some of these down. And, you know, we'll be bringing people in. Brad, I'm sure you'll get in on some at some point if you want. And Patrick's never heard any of these. The titles are always interesting because there's no words. It's just made up stuff to remember what it is. This one was called Bitch Factor 4. And what it means nothing. Like it's just something to remember what that one is, you know.
Otherwise, we'd spend a half an hour saying
the one that goes
one
ba-dink.
song.
You know,
Look like it is.
And I probably know a lot of these, what they are, but I know 0 titles, I think. So
yeah,
that helps.
So I had been going back through the hard drives trying to find out how many. There's like close to 30 of these. So obviously we're not going to do those all this season. I'm hoping to get 5 of these in this season. And that's a lofty goal. We'll see how that goes. But just to supplement what we're doing and give the listener more songs and for us to be able to get them down, I think it's going to be really fun. So I think we should listen to this one. This was either recorded in my mom's basement when we were probably 18.
Yeah, 17, 18.
Or maybe at one point we went to some guy's basement studio and record. I don't know if that's this version. I can't even tell because none of them sound very good.
How many times did your mom bring down Sunny D
in the middle of
this session?
My mom was not thrilled that we were playing. She thinks we were worshiping the devil down there.
We were done by the time she got home from work.
Going funny because it's always just been an instrumental band. There's like, we just like really enjoyed playing. So
you can hear the devil in the kick drum.
It's going to be interesting to see if we can still pull these up. We're very young and energetic. I'm not so much, but you can tell, like in this recording we're going to listen to, we're not in time very well, and those are things we are going to fix as we record these. But let's give this a listen and just get some reactions.
Yeah, these songs were cool before you guys sold out. Cut your hair.
Hey, BSrs, this is Wade from the future. Before we listen to this demo, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to cut it short because the quality is very poor on these. The songs are not going through the whole revision process that we usually go through. So you're still going to hear it, but you're just going to hear it in a much, much better quality once we redo it and present it for real. So I'm going to play a little bit of this just to get you a taste of what the song is. And then you will likely say to yourself, thank you, Wade, for not making me listen to that entire thing. So back to the episode. All right.
That was definitely recorded in your mom's basement
With a tape machine and
and the 4-track tape machine. Yep.
yeah. So, Patrick.
I think the great thing about art is it can be anything.
So that's probably the first song I ever wrote on guitar.
It's like saying,
Actually,
bless your heart.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that was next. There's actually some good stuff in there.
And these songs, I promise, do get better. We're starting at the very beginning here.
It reminds me a lot, and I'll say this without any sense of irony. It reminds me of early Misfit stuff.
Cool, yeah.
It just has that vibe to it, and part of that's just the 4-track. I think a couple of the riffs in there you can really parse out to be a song. Like, there's enough parts to develop this, definitely.
And we're not going to be doing a ton of that
Yeah.
on these. Like, the end goes on too long, we're going to cut that down, stuff like that. But I kind of want these to be documented.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. I
and
mean, I don't want to critique stuff in high school. I would never play you any of my high school shit. It's probably somewhere, but as an instrumental band, you want to have some changes and some interest. You've got the start of some of that.
Yeah.
I definitely got the theme of Bitch Factor number 4 from this.
I don't know how your mom thought you were worshiping the devil down there.
With all those screams and the goat killing.
And it's funny because when I was going through the old files to find this, I was like, was that just something we just did that one time? And I found on this particular song that was just apparently a thing we did was scream during that part, which I didn't remember at all. Which
I
is
remember doing it live too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way you set it up, I expect a lot more of a mess with keeping time. I actually thought it wasn't bad.
We were just playing so fast.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't keep up with Chad,
Yeah.
which is what the case was. And to let everybody know, like Chad knew how to play his instrument far better and far sooner than I ever learned how to play guitar. I don't know why he stuck with playing with me because
Small town.
Before this, before this, it was just noise. I didn't know how to play
Did
at
you
all.
have a shirt on when you were recording this?
Maybe probably. There's still
We stayed clothed.
So I was at my mom's on Thanksgiving, and if you go down the basement, there is still on the wall down there a newspaper clipping of a burrito that we hung on the wall that says something like, a burrito so big you can ride them. And it was like an advertisement for a place, and it's still on the wall down there. And there's still lights wrapped around like the pole down there that we, because we used to just play down there. Yeah.
That's going to be in Greenfield Village someday.
So we're going to record this proper. It's going to sound way better and cleaned up, and then it's going to be documented, and then we're going to move forward. But I'm excited just because it's fun.
Make sure you recapture the ear-piercing screams in my right ear.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we do the screams? What do you guys think?
I think it's part of the
Yeah,
song.
it's part
Okay.
of the song.
If it's not scream something.
Yeah.
They won't be like as we'll see what
Dramatic.
happens, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. Chad, what are your thoughts on revisiting these?
I'm glad we are personally because there is a lot of good stuff, as far as time changes, as far as some of the speed.
Not necessarily in this particular song,
No,
maybe.
no.
but
This, like
For
you
the
said,
collection.
this is very, very early, and I was hesitant to do some of these, but to stay true and do what we want to do chronologically, yeah, we'll start with a crap, but it does get better, and I think we can make it better simply by taking these parts, putting them in a good order, getting good strong drum sounds,
Yeah.
clean guitars, and
multi-tracked.
if
like-
anything, the audience will get a good synopsis of
Yeah.
what these songs were, and they'll be clean and documented. So, no, I'm excited about it, too.
I say this a lot, but it's important, too, that it doesn't become overproduced. I mean, it needs to sound garage still.
Yeah, we're not going to go nuts with
Yeah.
them.
No.
I might thicken up guitars here and there, but we're going to try to stay pretty true to what it was. So
I really hope that's the roughest first listen, though. That from here, that they get a little better.
I mean,
We could always redo it.
they
and
were all
pretend.
recorded just to like a cassette deck.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't we jumping like 5 years on the
Yeah,
next
but
one?
they
or
never got
something?
better. We only ever recorded onto a cassette deck.
The
really.
Volume 10 ones, didn't you guys go to a studio
Yeah,
though, for those? Yeah, you
but
went
they
to
don't-
Ohio.
Trust
right?
me, they don't sound good.
No, but I
That's at the end.
yeah, but I remember them being like,
They don't sound
cleaner
bad.
than the rest, right?
They didn't sound bad.
Yeah. Anyway.
We're gonna jump to the future. When we come back, this will basically be done, and we'll touch on it. Like these episodes where we do this are gonna be quicker. We're gonna listen to the demos, and then we're gonna record them, and we'll listen to the finished product, and we'll move on. So we're gonna jump to the future.
Boom.
Set course.
To the future!
All right, welcome back, BSers. We're here to finish out this episode of our first instrumental redo of an iMinya song, this one called Bitch Factor 4. And the funny part about redoing this song is I just assumed that this was going to be super easy, no big deal. It's not that it wasn't hard, but we actually put quite a bit of time into getting to a point where we liked the recording, specifically for the drums. So after our first listen through of this song, Chad came over one night and we set up the drums and all the microphones and spent a night, I think it was a Friday night, doing some drum recordings on this song and 2 other of these iMinya redos. And I think by the end of that night, we had decided, even though we had run through the song a couple times, I think we decided then we'll kind of treat this as our initial test run, because we have not practiced these songs a lot and kind of came to that conclusion by the end of the night. We had okay sounds, and we kind of left that night like, okay, if we got anything, we'll keep it, but maybe let's plan on trying this again. And the next day, I was listening to the recordings, and the drums just weren't sounding great. It's been a real challenge to get really good drum sounds.
Drums out of Chad, I know.
Yes, but it's gonna be an evolving process as we do more and more of this. So I did a little more research on recording drums in less than ideal rooms, which this one that we're in is for recording drums. The ceilings are very low. It's a small room, so not ideal for recording drums. So I found a different drum miking technique specifically for smaller rooms called the Recorder Man technique. When we initially recorded these, I had 2 overhead drum mics just in a spaced pair. So they were just above the drum kit, one on the right, one on the left, about 3 feet apart, equal distance up. And it just didn't sound great in here, probably from all the reflections from the ceiling and the walls. So did that research. I hung up some blankets in here behind the drum kit in preparation for our next session, and tried this different microphone setup, which is one microphone pointed directly down at the snare and another one behind the drummer's shoulder, pointing down at the snare and kick. The ideal distance would be to have them the same distance from the snare and the kick for that microphone. So I took a rope, a little string, and kind of measured with that, got it set up, and we went through a day recording that way, and then didn't end up using those either, I think.
We had to tweak it. Some of the mic placements were too close to me. I ended up whacking them a few times, and the one overhead directly behind my shoulder was too close.
We had to tweak that, because when Chad would go over to hit those toms, he would end up hitting that. So there was some unusable takes in there. So that was day 2 trying to get these. He came back a couple days later. We tweaked it further and ended up getting the takes that we can use. But it was quite a process to work through. And like I said, it's going to be an evolving thing just to try and get the good drum sounds out of this room. Also, I had gotten the idea before our last session to make templates for the songs to a click track, which was a disaster and wasted a ton of time.
Only because of the way we play the songs. These songs are so
they're
tempo.
They're not
they
straight.
fluctuate.
Anything.
It's a lot of feeling.
There's blend.
A lot of feeling.
Yeah, a lot of blend.
And I made the mistake of trying to create the click just by me playing the song. And really, it needs to be the 2 of us sitting down together. So we tried for a night playing and tweaking the click track. We spent a few hours trying to do that, and it just didn't work. Finally, we just were like, okay, let's just scrap it. We're just going to play live. Our friend Matt was here to record bass to this song, too. So by the end of the night, we got Chad's take for this song, and then Matt stayed a little later, and we got his bass part. And then in the following week, I went back and recorded my guitar parts. But it was quite the ordeal. I thought we were just going to be like, this is an easy one. We'll just jump in and get it done real quick.
Tend to do that.
But what we ended up with was a very good, hot, tight drum sound. They sound very individualized. I think you got good control over them. You know, the individual toms and things like that. They sound lively, but they're not sweating and reverb, anything like that. We ended up with a really, I think, decent starting drum sound that we'll use going forward.
Yeah, and I'm still tweaking. Like
Oh,
I got
constantly.
since then have even ordered a new drum head, new drum tuner. So I realized that I had the top and the bottom heads tuned to the same resonance, which gives you the most resonance. And in a little room like that, that is not ideal.
Need a damper.
Well, if you tune the bottom heads, I've learned higher to a higher frequency than the top, you'll get less resonance out of the drum. So that's a technique we're going to try next time, because the less sound bouncing around in this little room, the better they're going to sound, more controlled, you know. And if I want to add,
You can add depth or
stuff
something if you have
later,
to.
I
yeah.
can. But there were like just rogue frequencies when I went back and listened to the recordings and the overheads. There was like woo, like humming through the whole thing that I had to filter
bottom of
out
that
From
head.
the bottom
Yeah.
head.
just from things resonating. Yeah. So yeah, after we got it all recorded, I edited little things here and there. I played my part and then also added some extra guitar tracks. I didn't add anything,
No parts.
no parts, but I thickened up
Yeah. You
the
recorded
guitar.
them.
So
Yeah.
it sounds like more like a real song. So yeah, this is the first full recorded version of one of these songs, and I'm pretty excited for you guys to hear it. We did play it the other night when we were jamming over at Chad's house, just so I could play it for Matt. So they've heard it, but we were kind of all talking and stuff. So this will be cool.
That's an awesome story because we never really had to get into the drums too much, right?
Right.
And so I think like
Well, when we recorded them before, we did a really horrible job.
Yeah.
on 'em. And then we were using the
the
addictive drums.
Yeah. And every time we've recorded drums, it was always how you think drums should be recorded, but they never really sounded all that good. And so now I think it's cool that you guys are getting it dialed in.
And
that'll
still-
speed the whole thing up, like you said, Chad. Like once you get the process, you're just gonna know what to do every time, and it'll be better and better.
So, Chad, when you're behind the kit drumming live, do you pick up on the different resonance in the room? I'm not a drummer, so when like I'm messing around, it's just a cacophony and I can't really hear the dynamics, but are you able to pick that up pretty easily?
If we're playing live and I'm not wearing headphones, yes. Also, it depends how loud we're playing. If I'm wearing earplugs will block a lot of that resonance stuff. But I definitely try to pay attention, especially in live settings, kind of what the room sounds like.
Do you notice that changes your playing?
You
play to the room?
It can.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So the
Yeah.
thing I mentioned about the resonance and trying to dampen it for recording, it's the opposite for when like we're jamming and playing live. You would want more resonance, so you
resonance.
hear the drums more
Yeah.
and they're really cutting.
wanna
So like
feel
when we
it.
play over at
Yeah.
Chad's house,
you want to
like
feel the kick.
ideally
you want
he'll
to feel
have
everything.
it more resonant. Yeah. But
and I have hardwood floors, so
Right,
it does.
yeah.
It's a different room.
Yeah.
The sound bounces a lot more at my place.
Yeah.
And if we had a really nice recording studio with a big lofted
Instead of this
ceiling,
piece of shit? Yeah,
we would
I
want
agree.
the resonance because we would want to capture that because it would sound good. But this is probably the least ideal type of room you can have for recording that we're trying to
Probably
work
do a
with,
little
but-
excavating. Right, go down,
down?
yeah, the floor.
Well, I
It's a
did
good
have to
idea,
build
right?
this floor up
Yeah,
like
you
9
built it up. You
inches.
fucked the whole room up when you
Yeah.
did that. But I
Elevator.
think if we did a little demo, we could make this thing sweet.
Elevator.
So let's give this a listen, and then we'll talk about it a little more, and then we'll get out of here. All right. I did sneak one scream in, but decided to like go
Tone it down.
tone it down a little bit. But I thought it was important to get that one in there.
Well, it was part of the song.
It used to be.
We'll get Chad's thoughts on the mix there.
I like the mix. It kept the dirty gritty that these songs were because we wrote these a long time ago, and they were dirty gritty songs when we wrote them. Basic, not a lot to them. I feel they almost have like a Black Sabbath sound to them.
Yeah.
Some of this old
absolutely.
stuff does
Yep.
to it. It does. But we still make it our own. I like the mix. I still look back and wish I could have performed a little better, but that's fine. That's
You'll do
me.
that. You'll do that forever.
That's me.
We could do it again.
I
Sure.
could totally fucking play some Tony Hawk Pro Skater to this thing.
That's funny you said that. I was thinking, if I was a wrestler, this would be my walk-up
Right?
music.
Like I could just be just riding a rail. Just,
Riding the rail.
Grinding.
riding the rail.
Patrick, you got some notes there? What do you got?
Yeah, I had a hard time not focusing on the drums after our conversation. The one thing I really noticed dynamically, and we already beat this up a little bit, but the real depth of the tom and the snare feel like they're at different heights to me. Like I can really piece that out in my head. So I'm really impressed with A, mic placement, B, engineering, but it gives the song travel, which is really nice. It gives you something to kind of focus on. Like I said, I was latched onto the drums probably because of our conversation, but it was really notable as well. They sound really crisp. They hit. I just thought they sounded great. The other thing I noticed in this mix that I don't think I noticed the last time were these couple of details like the hum of the amp during pauses, which I really like. It makes it feel very much recorded off the floor despite the polish that's put on the song. So I guess that goes back to what Chad's saying is it still feels gritty. It still feels like you're almost watching a live performance.
Yeah, so
Listening to a live performance,
I
maybe.
filtered out the 60 hertz electrical amp hum, which is just something that shouldn't be there. But I thought that single coil distortion
part of
hum
it.
should
It's
just
part
be
of it.
in there.
Yeah, I love it.
Because I could cut that out.
Yeah, but
Or
And
in
the song ends
pauses,
with it
you know?
too. It's like
Yeah.
you just turn down the volume on your guitar.
yeah, it's almost like taking breaths out of lead vocals. You got to
Yeah.
leave them there because that's a human being. You have to record that shit.
Chocolate
Yeah.
rain.
Yeah.
And I am recording all of these with my Fender lead too, because that was the only guitar I had back then.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote all these.
I think
just
it
like,
sounds.
keep
I think it sounds great, and the guitar sounds.
Yeah,
I think are
I
pretty
wouldn't touch
amazing.
this.
Like especially
It did. It sounded good too.
you did some sweet panning. I noticed your other kind of harmony guitars. You
Yeah.
might have put to some parts to thicken things up and change it.
Yep.
But I think the guitar sound was recorded very well.
You want to get technical on guitars real quick?
I might, but first,
Okay.
I got to figure out because it's in my brain.
Oh, yeah,
now.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
It is audience perspective,
It is.
right?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm not mad at it. I'm not as mad as I thought I would be at it. But explain your
We're gonna talk
decision to
about
mix
that.
it that way.
I love that you're paying attention to that because I was too.
Yeah.
When Chad and I originally started recording this, we recorded it with my board here behind me, and I had it panned drummer perspective, like
Yeah.
I usually mix all of our songs. And then we were recording test takes and listening back, and the overheads were really just not meshing how I wanted them to. Just like, well, I'm going to try pan them
Flipped 'em.
differently. And it's when I did, it was like right
Really?
into place. Like it just sounded better for this recording or the setup that we had. Like they just filled out better and sounded more natural.
Could
And
that
I-
have
oh,
to
shit.
do with phasing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. Different phase in the room and the sounds bouncing around. And Chad was here and I was like, listen to this. What do you think? And Chad was like, yeah, it sounds better.
For me, it made the drums more exciting because it's not how I always hear them.
Mm-hmm,
And so, like, to have low toms in my left ear, I was like, oh, that's
It's
that's
new.
interesting.
It's like you're watching Chad play it.
Exactly. I thought I would be more annoyed by it
Mm-hmm.
because I just think there's a way to do it. And when you play the drums, your low toms should be on the right. But I was like, that's pretty cool.
But a
about
lot
to
of
get chatted.
drummers, when they do record, will put a floor tom on the left hand of their snare, and they do
Really?
record. They do mic it
never
that
seen
way
that.
too.
Really?
Yeah, so that when you're doing big fills,
You can
Oh,
hit
that's cool.
one on
you're
each
reaching
side.
on each side.
Right.
Yes.
That's interesting.
What a bunch of fools.
No, but I think I kind of like it.
Cool.
It's interesting because
Yeah.
it did kind of perk the drums up for me a little bit because
I
it was
liked
just it brought some thickness. The left side doesn't always
Right.
get it.
We recorded 3 songs in this batch. Mm-hmm. And then the next time, obviously the drums right now, we're recording in the same room, recording this podcast.
they
I had to
gone.
push them over into the corner. So when we set up again, like to do these in batches. So these first 3 songs will kind of sound
the same.
like a cohesive kind of unit.
Yeah.
And then I know when I'm mixing, I have them the same. Let's go back to the guitars. Patrick, remember when you were over and we were working on your song?
Mm-hmm.
We were also recording through the board here, and I mic'd up my Music Man over there with a SM57 and then a Cascade Fathead ribbon mic. And we pulled up the faders on the board to go tweak the sound, and both of us were like, oh, it's done.
Yeah, that
Sounds great. So I found a really nice combination of microphones to record that amp through, and those are the same ones I used on this.
It sounds great.
2 microphones at the same time, one on each speaker. And then normally when I do that, I will not pan them differently because they're the same signal. I'll usually keep them in the same spot. For this song, I did. I panned one to the left, I panned one to the right. And the 57 is much brighter and more mid-rangey, and the ribbon mics are a really darker sound. So I panned them opposite of what the overheads are doing. The snare side overhead has the hi-hat, so it's much more mid-rangey and high-rangey. So I put the SM57 microphone of the guitar on the opposite side, and then put the darker guitar mic to balance that out. The whole main guitar part is recorded through the Music Man and my lead 2 Fender guitar with that setup, and then the extra fill-out guitars was my SG through the little Marshall Lead 12 here. It's got a really cool
Stock
distortion.
Yeah.
For the main one, I used my Overdrive Old Yeller pedal, Ad Rock pedal,
Oh, yeah.
Those
in
are cool.
conjunction with my Satori Sonics Brownie and Cream, which is a fuzz pedal, but if you dial it in right, it's more of an overdrive.
Yeah.
Brad loves the brownies and cream.
I do love the brownies and cream.
Yeah, and I really like the sound of it when you dial it in like an overdrive rather than a fuzz. So that was the main guitar, and then, like I said, those filler guitars were the humbuckers, and those are the ones that come out and they're really wide pans to fill out some of those parts.
I like the way those were mixed. I mean, how many did you have then? 4?
Just one main guitar track, which was the 2 mics.
Yep.
And then I did 2 more. So one
3?
for a left and one for a right on the
Yeah,
Marshall.
so I think the way that the guitar was recorded was really cool because you could play with that probably for hours, just blending those sounds together.
Yeah.
You know, if you were to do 2 takes of the same 2 mics and then blend the sounds differently, that would be
So
kind
what
of a
I say
cool
normally when I
experiment.
record the same amp with 2 mics, I'll keep those 2 signals
Tight.
together, and if
Yeah.
I want them over to the left, I'll pan both of them over to the left. Or sometimes I'll even combine them
This
on
is a
recording.
way cooler way to think about it,
There's no rules.
but it
You
balanced
just
the
do
mix
whatever.
real well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's sweet. I think it came out awesome.
Cool. I think maybe the kick is a little boomy. Did you guys think
not
that?
get
I didn't think so.
No.
No? Okay.
I would have let you know, and then you would have said we're going to leave it that way.
Because there's only 3 parts. It's
guitar,
kinda
bass, and
gotta
drums,
carry.
Yeah, well, I
It's
was
gotta
going to say, like, I usually like that better because I like to feel the drums anyway. I don't know if that's a flaw or an attribute, but I like that.
It's a virtue.
Yeah, virtue.
Yeah.
Virtue.
One thing that does make me feel good is I've mentioned in previous episodes this season is I have a subscription to puremix.com.
Not a sponsor.
Thank you. And I'm getting mix feedback. In the last one, I put this one on there, and, they gave me some tips, but I'm working on one of your songs right now, Pierce the Night, even though we've already recorded and finished the episode, but I didn't get that feedback before we recorded that, so I'll probably jump back into that episode like I have been doing.
Yeah.
But going forward, I won't. We'll be talking about that in the episode together.
Got
But I had said when I posted that song, Pierce the Night, I said, I'm having troubles with this mix. I always think when I listen to our stuff I work on that it sounds like garbage.
Yeah. And they were like,
And this-
no, it's the mix is fine. It's
yeah,
the
they
song
did.
that's an issue.
No. They're like, I don't know what the issue is. It sounds good. So that makes me feel good about our drum recordings that we're getting, even though I tend to listen to things and be like, oh, it's garbage.
I think the contributing factor might be what I was talking about earlier, which is there's this sense of depth. Like when you do those super cool snare fills, and they are super cool, by the way, I noticed that at that time the snare comes forward. When there's a tom fill, the toms come forward. So I think there's something with that mic dynamic to where maybe your brain picks up that it's hot, but I think it's a virtue of the song.
I've been playing around with drum gates too.
That's it.
Or so those toms,
You got a gate issue there.
Yeah.
and what that is it'll cut the signal when the drum's not being hit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what a gate does.
So you're
and when
hearing
you
it
hit
open
the
up.
drum, the gate
Yeah.
opens and allows that signal to come through.
I think that's
Which is
keep that.
also really important in, like I keep saying, this room is not conducive to recording drums in. So
Helps keep those cobwebs out of
Yep.
the.
So
Yeah,
all
I mean,
that
even
extra
talking
signal.
now, I get resonance off the
Yep.
set. So
But then you're talking about adjusting attack and release on the
Yep,
gate.
on the gate.
Yeah.
And the
a lot of
soft and
times with the
hard.
toms, because it's so easy, you don't play them throughout the whole song, and there's
Yeah.
only specific. I'll cut the
3/4
whole.
of the track.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
cut it out where
Mhm.
it's not playing, so
Yeah.
there's no interference.
yeah.
And that's not to say that you should always do that, because it might sound cool to have the bleed in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it doesn't for what
Not
we've
us.
done so
Well,
far.
and two, like this song, it could have been really easy to lose the drums in all of your cymbal work because there's a lot of cymbal work
Yeah.
in this song. A lot of times that can just trash the whole thing. It's really good how it
We've
was.
been trying to smash them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
We've been
talked about
trying to
that.
smash
Was it this
'em.
song that we were talking about that a little bit with the cymbals being
I
a
don't know.
little out of bounds? I can't remember if that was this
No, I don't
episode.
think
Our
it was this
listeners will let us know.
Yeah.
It might have been in that demo because
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, but I guess I'm trying to
Insane.
compliment that
Thank you.
works.
I
Yeah.
think Chad plays a lot of cymbals.
he does.
In all songs, and I think it's a result of us being in an instrumental band for all those years, because you just have free reign, like to fill everything in, and it doesn't get in the way of anything else.
Right.
It's funny that we're talking about this because we're going to record on a song I'm working on right now today.
You want to table this cymbal discussion?
So we'll get into
we'll
it. but
circle
it's-
back.
We had recorded drums for the song before I had the vocals and everything in it, and they're not working. Like we're gonna have
Because
to
it's
either-
starting to clash.
because it's clashing.
Yeah.
That's not because Chad was playing the wrong thing to the song. He was playing the right thing.
He just didn't
There
know it
was no
yet.
vote.
but there wasn't any vocals.
Yeah, you
in
just
it.
didn't know. You didn't
And
know
you
it
guys
yet.
will
Yeah.
notice when
Yeah.
we bring forward a song that already has vocals and stuff.
You peel it back.
Yeah,
You know where the
my verses are normally
you
just
could
very
you could listen to
simple.
the drums on their own and tell where the verse
I
and
think
it's
is.
just accents.
I think that we got our styles of playing, both of us,
yeah.
because we never had to worry about not playing over vocals. The
fucking lead singer coming in and-
my guitar work can get all weird and crazy,
Yeah.
and Chad does a lot of
It
cool cymbal
has
stuff
to.
because we were filling
Yeah.
in all that information, and we did that for years and years and years. So I think that really shaped us as musicians, and it's fun to now think about songs in a different way.
Yeah,
as we
and
do with
keep
these other
keep
songs.
portions of that work.
Yeah.
and pull out where you need to pull out, and the combination of that you can't.
And if a song's gonna have drums, we shouldn't record them until you guys get your
Yeah,
lyrics.
the song. Yeah,
I think
the
this
verse-
is a really long way of saying Chad has to come in and put up with your shit.
He does. Yeah, and
gonna
he
get
usually
into
looks
that.
just like that
We'll talk about
until
this
he
more in
gets
that
it all
other
figured
episode,
out.
but
Anyway, I like it. To sum it up,
I think we're good on this.
beautiful job, man. Awesome
Cool.
song.
So we are actually yesterday I finished or didn't finish, but I put my basic guitars to the other two songs we recorded, and I've sent them to our friend Matt, who's going to put bass on them. So throughout the season, we'll be doing more of these.
Let's
like I
not
said.
forget really cool bass line actually
Yeah, we should talk
by
about
Matt.
that.
Yeah, so I was actually paying attention to it this time because a lot of times live I have a hard time hearing Matt.
Yeah,
When
there's
you,
a lot
you pick
going
up
on
you
in
pick
the
up
room.
edges of it and you can feel it more than anything.
Yeah, you won't notice until it's gone.
Yeah,
you're like, oh,
exactly.
wait,
Like,
what happened?
where when he comes in, you're like, oh, boom, that's what we were missing.
Yeah.
You know, but like the actual bass line in this song it's really cool. It's
and
really
what
great.
did you use to simulate? What was he plugged into?
Oh, his sound?
Yeah.
He calls his pedal board a sound. So
You used something else though, didn't?
So when we
As well?
recorded this, that's good that you brought that up. So we recorded this song live together in the room, but we were just wanted to capture Chad's drums. So we were recording all with headphones on. We were all plugged into the recording console, and I was using amp simulators on me and Matt. So in the
Sounds
room,
like the most boring video game ever.
yeah. So in the room, you're only hearing Chad, and that's all the microphones are picking up, but we're all jamming together in the headphones.
Sorry,
So-
Shanna.
So yeah, before Chad had to listen to drums for, like 5 hours upstairs, but
Damn it, he missed it again.
but I recorded 2 different signals for Matt. So a direct out of his pedal board and then a direct out
His
of
sound.
just his bass.
Direct sound.
Direct
Yep.
sound.
And then I reamped it later. We did a couple tracks to piece it together, and then I reamped it through my Ampeg Gemini 2 over there using a Sennheiser MD421 mic.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's how I actually recorded my guitars too, because it was at night and Shanna was home. And so I'll record them just in the computer through an amp simulator,
and then amp 'em.
and then reamp them, while she's at work or
That's
something,
sweet.
so
Yeah.
I don't bother.
No, but I wanted to mention that because I did notice, like I was following along with the bass line and how it hits with the drums
Yes.
and all that shit. Like it's pretty cool. I like the bass line.
Cool. So,
Got a
yeah.
lot more content out of this first time in you than I thought.
Yeah,
That's what happens usually when you think it's going to be like, oh, we'll talk about it for 5 minutes.
we
And
were
then we have
actually
big grandiose plans.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss.
we were actually talking about this last night. We were jamming over at Chad's house, the three of us and Matt. And I was like, well, what should I do for these episodes? Because I felt like I don't know if we're going to run out of stuff to talk about. Like the next one, if we're like, okay, it's another cassette recording in the basement,
here's
and then
the
we're
theme.
redoing it.
Yeah.
But maybe stuff will pop up.
I think it'll pop up.
Maybe we didn't use it all up here. So
Yeah.
we'll
We'll take
see.
the extra effort to use some of these different practices and try new things and techniques for you,
Yeah.
as we go. So that'll give us content.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but for the first one, I think it's pretty cool to finally get one of these songs legitimately recorded and documented, and we're gonna work on doing the rest. So
Ship it off to the Library of
Boom done.
Congress.
Yeah, fuck.
File it away.
I mean, it's no Bitch Factor 3,
No.
but it's pretty good.
No. I mean, 4 really paved the way for
It
5.
sure did, yeah.
I hope you BSers enjoy these, and if you do, as Patrick is reminding me to tell you right now, if you like this podcast, please tell your friends about us and share these episodes, share your favorite episodes on your social media or with your friends. Like, we really appreciate this. Newsflash, it's not a lot of you, so we could use more. We could use your help.
If you want to join our street team,
There
Well,
goes.
if
we'll
you
send
do,
you stickers.
we absolutely will.
Taggers?
And if you do want to do that, you can reach out to us at bs@belongingsongs.com, or you go to our website and fill out the forms page. There is merch and our upcoming schedule on our website. We are on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to listen to all these songs, go to our website. Also, songs pages for each season there. These menu ones, I'm not going to put on Spotify until we get a whole collection. I'm probably going to
I
split
think that's
this
the best way
That's
to
a good
listen to
idea.
them.
into collections, like the first original groups of songs that you and I kind of did together. And then this project does evolve to include more people, and the songs get way more weird and intricate.
Intricate, yes.
So this will probably be split into collections as we go.
That's a good idea.
But all of our other songs, of course, are on Spotify in our Belonging Songs Spotify playlist that Patrick puts together. So all the songs from seasons 1 through 3 are up there. Check it out. Share that with your friends. Also on Spotify, you can now rate podcasts. So if you listen to this on Spotify, please just scroll down and give us a 5-star rating. It would really help for their algorithm to get us out to other
I mean, we're pulling all of our music off Spotify because of Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah, I guess. So just listen to it on our website.
How many people do you think listen to Neil Young on Spotify?
I think probably a lot.
I do.
Well, no, but
I
nobody
mean, I
knows.
do.
I mean, I used to.
I do.
Right.
I have
Till-
a channel.
Till fucking ivermectin came along and fucking blew it.
All right, that's a good place to get out of here. So thanks so much for listening. Next week, we'll be back with a full episode featuring one of Brad's songs.
Yeah.
So we'll hope to see you then.
It's a good
I
one.
gotta sound excited.
That's good. Boom, done. Next.